Hey, welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, CrunkChocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. If you're listening on the free platforms, so YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and you see that this episode is only 12 minutes, still make sure you like, you subscribe, you rate, you review, all of that, gives us a little boost on the algorithm. I don't know if you are any Reddit people. It upvotes us. So there are other podcasts and it's like, hey, we should push Shades of Blue podcast to other most dope football lovers like you. So hello there. But if you find yourself enjoying these 12 minutes and you're like, how can I get more of this? Check out our Patreon, where we have match previews, amazing interviews with most dope people. So we have this dropping very soon. I was able to welcome on Ryan Hunn of Stadio Podcast, so that will be dropping as well. Plenty more for you beautiful people on Patreon. So check that out. Link in the description. A little light subscription. More than worth it. And it helps out an independent podcast like Shades of Blue. Today, we have a great episode for you, Shady Gang. We're back to cup competitions. International break is over. Everyone knows where they stand when it comes to the World Cup. I've missed you, Man City men. But it's time to face our dreaded enemies. Obviously, Klopp is gone. They still have Virgil. Like, they still have Mo Salah for now. We'll get to that. And so there's a semblance of Liverpool that is still there. But the threat is not threatening like it has even last season. What is going on? How are we feeling? Will they snap back into normal for this weekend? Because it's a cup competition and everybody stands up for a cup competition, right? To help us talk all things Liverpool, welcome on our good friend Michael Reid. How are you, my boy?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yes.
Simultaneously very pleased that the international break is coming to a close, but also dreading the game at the weekend. So I don't really know how to feel. It's like a mix of emotions there, but yeah, all good. And thanks for having me on the show.
That's of course. England kind of struggled in their international break, their games. USA got smashed in their games during the international break. I guess the only difference is England always has the hope of their team, though it's coming home, all of that stuff. That is never a legitimate joke, even ironically, in the US. Like it is. Oh man. Yeah. Obviously they did win their CONCACAF part, so like if it wasn't hosted in the US, they would still be in the World Cup. But at times it does not feel like they deserve to be in it. But we're not here to talk international football. Let's talk. Let's start off with Arne Slot, because there's a lot of discussion of whether he's gonna go, whether he's gonna leave. I mean, so I guess we'll get there eventually. But Liverpool struggled actually they started the season incredibly hot, and then there was that like cold streak, and now they're kind of inconsistent. And I can't say kind of inconsistent because you still have the hopes, the joys, like you're in the Champions League, unlike us, so you have that going for you, but you're not quite in a spot in the table where you expected after winning the Premier League last season. So has Slot grown as a manager? Let's start there. How has Slot done growing? Because now he's about to be in season 2, so maybe some of the mistakes and the troubles that he had early on should be getting resolved, correct?
Yeah, well, you'd certainly like to think so. And obviously, he couldn't have had a better start last season. Winning the league in your first season is not something many managers achieve. Even Guardiola and Klopp, they didn't do it in their first seasons, so it's not an easy thing to achieve. okay, you could say Man City dropped off, Arsenal struggled last season for various reasons, but we still got a points tally that was comfortably enough to win the league with 4 games to spare. So ultimately, he did phenomenally well. And yeah, you almost want to see now in his second season, right? What's the next development? And we had such an upturn of players in the summer where some left, some joined, and so the squad looks very different. Whereas last season it was more settled from Klopp's final season. It was basically the same squad, just with Chiesa added to it, who didn't really play much. So it was effectively Klopp's team that Slot took over, and now it's more of a Slot team. And yeah, this season has not gone like I don't think anybody would have predicted Liverpool to be fifth at this stage. I think the bare minimum would have been a third place, and I think that is more than fair to say. And I think Slot would admit that himself, that is the absolute minimum we should have been expecting this season. So to be in fifth at the minute, 1 point above sixth, it's not been the campaign he would have wanted. But the Cups have weirdly offered a bit of respite. So we're still going strong in the FA Cup, still going strong in the Champions League. Actually, we've won as many cup games since the September international break as we have league games, which is kind of crazy because you play a lot more league games. So it does kind of show that basically, I think there is a modern strong argument to say that the Cups have sort of saved his job because, the league form hasn't been where he would have wanted it to be, certainly not where the club above it, the hierarchs above him would have wanted it to be. But the Champions League is still there. PSG in the next round we faced last season and, of course, knocked us out last season. We've still got in the FA Cup, albeit we've got what we would consider the toughest possible draw to get Man City away from home at this stage. So it's actually a really big week for him because, we could end I could be speaking in a week and we could be out of the FA Cup and been beaten in the first leg by PSG, and suddenly the Cups are no longer a respite. We're struggling on all fronts. So it's a huge week for his future and for the club generally, really, in terms of how we're going to end this season now. It's hard to sort of comment on Slot because as a title-winning manager, he just had so much favour in the bank, and a lot of that favour has sort of dropped this season because of the struggle in the league. I think that's more than fair to say. It's really hard to sort of give a verdict on him. Could you argue that last season he was just continuing on from Klopp, whereas this season he's had a bit more of his time, and suddenly the struggles are there. I think you also find out a lot about a manager when things are hard. It's easy to be good and in good form and winning games as we were last season, and we, as I say, won the league comfortably and he looked great, and we thought, wow, what a perfect manager to replace Klopp. This season, the struggles have been there, and maybe his response to that hasn't been as good as you would have hoped. So maybe we have found out a bit more of him as far as that's concerned, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, even last season when you were doing well, he had like a chip on his shoulder. He seemed kind of impatient at times with the media, and that always kind of threw me off. And a lot of it was made at the beginning of the season, especially when things were struggling. Real Madrid were struggling. Xabi Alonso had that situation, and Salah added fuel to the fire with his little media monologue before AFCON. I know they are struggling, but and yeah, the league win should give him a little bit of cushion. But as you said, it can be sort of excused as to like why the success came and how it happened, and just everything that's going on now. So would you want him to leave? Because there's still that talk that Xabi is still hanging around being like, hey, hi Liverpool. So like, what are you expecting to happen? Obviously you don't know anything, but this is like what you are expecting or would like to see. Would you like to see him leave? Would you like to see him go? Would you like to see Xabi Alonso? If not Xabi, who else?
Yeah. Well, Xabi Alonso obviously has the huge benefit of being an ex-Liverpool player and considered a great player for us. So obviously, in terms of fan backing, Xabi Alonso would have it instantly. regardless of the look that people who still support Slot and people who don't support Slot. I think Alonso would have the love of both straight away because he has that club connection. What he achieved at Leverkusen was absolutely phenomenal. And okay, Real Madrid sacked him despite the fact he had a 70% win rate, which is absolutely crazy for that not to be enough to keep your job. But maybe he was sacked for other reasons there.
Yeah.
But what he achieved at Leverkusen, an unbeaten league triumph against Bayern Munich, who normally dominate that division. So to do what he did there was incredible. So he has the pedigree, he has the connection with the fans, so he ticks a lot of boxes. But we have a manager. We have Arne Slot, who has won the league with us here. Ultimately, I think if he was going to be sacked, it would have happened by now. I think clearly the club are going to let him have the season out. Maybe that will change, like I say, in a week if Man City end up beating us, PSG beat us quite badly. Suddenly, the alarm bells really might start ringing. Right, we really have to qualify for the Champions League now because that costs a lot of money. And ultimately, even if you ignore the football inside, the business of the club, they will be reliant on Champions League money, having what we spent last season, plans for this season, replacing Mo Salah is a lot easier to do if you have Champions League football. So I think the pressure will be seriously on him if he has a bad week now, in terms of they might well have to pull the trigger and go down the interim route. I'm only speculating. Like I say, I think in terms of their actual plans for the season, they absolutely plan to keep him for the rest of the season. If we have not qualified for the Champions League, I'm not the only person who will have said this. Jamie Carragher said it in this country. It's very hard to see him surviving that if we don't qualify for the Champions League, given the backing he had in the summer.